everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for a bit of a mental health IVF catch-up video. So yeah, this is not a BookTube video, so if you are here for the bookish content, then absolutely feel free to click away. I will not be at all offended, nor will I know, to be honest. But this is going to be a bit of a chat, a bit of a catch-up about how things are going with me and specifically with my attempt to have children. Last year, around this time, I put out a video that was me telling you all about my IVF infertility journey, what I'd been doing for that, why we were in that situation, and so on. I will link that in the description below and in the eye up above, so you can go and watch that and get all of that information that I put in there. But yeah, I thought that a year and a bit on, it was probably a good time to have a bit of a catch up, let you know how things are going now, and yeah, just generally talk through all of that with you. Before I go into any details, last year again when I made this first video, I did talk through a bunch of things that have happened around the world while we've been going on this journey that haven't been great. I did that partly because I didn't want it to seem like I thought that this thing that I was going through was something that was unique to me or something that was the most awful thing that anyone could go through. I am well aware that I am in a very privileged position. The fact that I'm even able to go down the path of attempting IVF even once, let alone a number of times, is something that is a privilege. It's very pricey. Even the light, shall we say, version that we've been doing is very pricey. So therefore it's not accessible to a really large portion of the world's population. So I'm well aware that I'm very privileged in that. So I wouldn't like anyone to think that I'm not aware of that. And also it's just important to be aware of the world and to know that there are things going on outside of your own experiences, even if those experiences have been difficult. And I just wanted to alert people to some of those things that maybe they didn't know about. I mean, most of them you would know about, but yeah. I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to list all of the things that have happened throughout this last year, partly because a lot of them are already known, partly because, unfortunately, many of them are still ongoing. We are still in a pandemic. Black lives are still at risk in America and all around the world, including Australia, at higher risk of being shot, being injured by police, being brutalized by police, being arrested for minor offences or nothing at all, being incarcerated, being ill, being in poverty. All of the bad things that happens to people in society, people of colour are at high risk of those bad things happening. And that didn't start a couple of years ago. It hasn't stopped since the Black Lives Matter movement kind of fell out of the public eye, fell out of the media a bit. So that is something that we still need to think about and be aware of and fight against. As I said, we're still in a pandemic. I know that the current strain is slightly less fatal to many of us, but it still exists. It's still out there. People are still getting it. People are still getting very sick from it. People who are vulnerable people who are vulnerable because they're older generation or they're immunocompromised or they can't be vaccinated for whatever reason are still very much at risk of being very ill and dying from coronavirus. So, despite what the media and many people we know would like us to believe, it still exists, it's still there, it's still a threat. There is so much going on in the world around women's autonomy, women's body autonomy, women's right to choose. There's just so much happening in the world around so many things. There are too many, unfortunately, horrifically, there are too many things to list, but just, I want everyone to be aware that despite the fact that I'm going through some stuff, I'm not unaware that things like exist outside of myself and my own perspective, and I want to be able to bring your awareness to any of those things that you don't know about. So in the description below, I have listed a bunch of different places that you can go to donate, get involved, help out, all of that stuff. But yeah, our attempt to have babies. So my partner and I have been trying for, I think, almost 5 years and been highly unsuccessful. About a year and a half ago, we discovered that part of the issue, or the main issue, is I have blocked ovaries. So we decided to do IVF. So we've had a slight location change due to my partner having to go into a meeting. So sorry about that. Just going to readjust slightly because I think I'm about to get a cat. Yes, I am. Here she is here, wanting some pats. Anyway, so basically we have to do simplified IVF. So simplified IVF, I'm not sure exactly in what way it differs from non-simplified IVF, but it's to do with what the problem is. The problem is that I have blocked fallopian tubes, which means that any eggs produced are not making their way from the ovaries into the uterus. So they are unable to fertilize. So because that is the issue, my body is able to produce eggs. So they have been giving me, or I've been giving myself, or actually Rowan's been giving me injections that are to stimulate the ovaries to produce more eggs than they would in a normal cycle, because they want to be able to get a large amount of eggs so that we can freeze some and then we have a few to try with. That part hasn't worked very well. So despite the stimulation, I haven't produced really that many eggs each time, and I've had to do stimulated IVF every time, whereas what they'd prefer is that you get, say, 10 eggs that are fertilized, and then you've got 10 eggs and 9 of which are frozen, and then you can try 9 more times of frozen eggs. They have said that they often have more luck with frozen eggs, but that's probably purely due to numbers, because most of the time you wind up with many more frozen eggs each cycle than you would an egg that goes straight from being fertilized into your uterus. But either way, we have been unsuccessful so far. So I think we've done 6 or 7 rounds at this point of stimulated IVF, and 1 round where we had a frozen egg. It feels like we've done about 50, but we haven't really done that many. But given the diminishing returns, I'm in my 40s, I'm 42. We started this when I was 38 or 37. So the reserves of eggs are only going to get smaller. So at this stage, we have started the process of looking at using donor eggs. Like I said, we've started that process. I'm not going to go into detail about the specifics around that process at the moment, because it involves others who I haven't discussed that with, but that is the process that we are currently going down, the road we're currently going down. It just was no longer really viable for me to be attempting to be the one to provide the eggs. We weren't getting a big enough yield. We were really only getting 1 each time. It's a lot to put my body through, particularly given that I'm 42. It knocks me around a lot. The actual hormones that Rowan injects into me are fine and I can function, but they do make me feel quite tired. But then the actual egg collection itself, you're supposed to be like the day of, you're supposed to rest up and not do much, but it's supposed to be the next day you're completely fine. And it has been the next day and a few times the day even after that I've just been so tired and so out of it, and just like not feeling unwell, but just feeling really out of it. I mean, I think that's partly an emotional thing, because it takes a lot out of you emotionally as well as physically, and I have always been a person that has carried my emotions physically. I get really tired when I'm upset or down or what have you. But yeah, so that's where we're at with that. The decision was made to go down this route a couple of months ago. We had another stimulated round which failed. We only got 2 eggs out of that round, only 1 of which was able to be fertilized, and it didn't make it to the point where they then put it back into your uterus. So the doctor advised that she didn't think that it was worth me being the person that was the egg person. anymore, because she knows that it puts a lot of strain on me while it's happening, and my body just naturally tenses, and that is affecting how they're going about doing it and what is happening. So she thought that either we do go down, we'd already talked about going down the donor path, so we either do that or I'm put completely under while they do an egg collection, because they're more likely to get more because my body would be out of it. But she didn't think that there was enough evidence to suggest that they'd get very many eggs anyway, so it probably wasn't really worth it putting my body through that, because that's another big thing, being put completely under with general anesthetic is a lot to put your body through. So yeah, that was the advice that she gave. Because we'd already thought about and talked about doing the donor path, we have decided to do that. At the time that we made those decisions, I was upset because obviously another round that didn't work, but I think I was mostly okay. We didn't make the decision right off the back of the round that didn't work, because initially in that first day of finding out I was pretty upset. But then I was okay for the next week or so, and we made the decision, and I feel like we made the right decision. I think it was probably about 2 or 3 weeks later, I feel like it took a couple of weeks to really kind of hit me, but it really, really hit me, and I was feeling really low, really, really down, just incredibly, just really bad, just not happy, just not okay, just crying a lot. Really felt that I was unable, I think I put on Twitter something about being unable to human, just felt like I was unable to function properly. I felt divorced from feeling. I felt like I wasn't communicating very well. I didn't last super long feeling like this, but I was feeling really low and really down. And I mean, I have generalized anxiety. I feel generally anxious quite often. So it's not like emotional issues or mental health issues are new to me in any way, but it's rare for me to feel that low and that depressed and that unable to function and disconnected. And that was kind of scary because it's so unusual for me. I feel like I'm holding myself together really well at the moment because I'm in a really good place at the moment. This has been such a roller coaster of a journey emotionally. It's so fraught. Anyone that has been through this, obviously you will know. Anyone even who has tried to have children and you've been successful, but even those few weeks, even those few months where you're trying and nothing's happening, or if anything like that, you know how hard that is. So just times it by 20 and that's where I'm at. Like I said, I'm in a pretty good place at the moment, but even having said that, I was messaging someone the other day who has just had a baby, and I was crying when I was messaging them. It was hard to message them about their baby, but not even that. I was messaging actually to say I'm sorry that I've kind of stepped back a little bit and not been as supportive as I could have been. I don't think that person knew very much about my situation. And so I just wanted to let them know that I'm thinking about them and, all of that. And just saying what had been going on and everything, I was crying. Having written that. So it's very up and down at the moment. I'm still very emotional. I'm still struggling to feel, like I said, I'm feeling okay right now. I'm actually feeling like I'm in a fairly good place for the situation, but the last 18 months have been so up and down. Partly it's hormones. They pump you through with hormones, and that just messes with your body and your emotions, and then getting your hopes up and then getting your hopes down, and then being not going through with it, and then it's just a lot. And like I said, I feel like I'm coping, but any day now I feel like I could crash again. So I did crash. I did, like I said, kind of, crash and burn a little bit. I have an absolutely amazing partner who is just incredible. He's been so good, and he's always there for me, and so understanding and supportive and loving, and he's just an amazing person, and I'm so grateful that he's in my life and doing this with me. So, and I have, I have an amazing support network. I have amazing BookTube friends who are so supportive, and I have amazing in real life friends. My family are fantastic. So I have a lot to be incredibly grateful for, and I have a lot of support, which I am incredibly grateful for. And thank goodness for that, because honestly, I don't know what I would do without all of that support network and all of you amazing friends and everybody. It's still been really hard. I don't even know how to express how hard it is, and I hate it when people say this, so forgive me, but it really is one of those things where you don't know until you've experienced it. You don't know what it's like. You don't know how it feels. There's no possible way to know how you feel. But I was talking to my counsellor, was actually the IVF counsellor, a few weeks ago, and she said, you were in crisis, and you have been in crisis. And for some reason, I just felt like that was such an incredible weight being lifted, because in addition to all of the emotional stuff of what I've been going through, I really felt like it was not that big a deal, that I needed to just calm down a little bit, that, like it wasn't a crisis. And to have someone tell me that actually you are in crisis, it just really made me feel better in a weird way. Having said that, that was in the middle of the most depressed I've been for a while. She actually gave me permission to rewatch Heartstopper multiple times. So I was talking about how I just wanted to rewatch this show constantly, and she was like, you know what, just do it. You're in crisis, just do it. If it's something that makes you feel better, it's not going to hurt you or anyone else. You guys know, if you've been around at all, if you haven't, welcome. Thanks for watching. But I have become obsessed with that show / comic. But it doesn't tell my story. Nothing about that is about the story it tells, or the stories it tells is my story. Apart from the obvious ways we can all relate to trying to find yourself and figure out what you want and who you are. But it's just such a lovely show that I watched it just at the right time. I was in that really depressive mode, and it really made me feel good. And I just loved it, and I do love it, and I feel like, in addition, obviously, to all the amazing people I just talked about, particularly Rowan, but it really I feel like it lifted me out of the blackness. I know that's such a melodramatic way of saying it, but I really feel like it lifted me out of that really black hole I was in. I am feeling okay at the moment, like I said, although I am a little concerned I might be sliding back down a little bit, because last couple of weeks I really, really haven't wanted to go to work, and I really love my job. So the fact that I was feeling like I didn't want to go to work worried me a bit. But once I got there, I was fine. But yeah, I kind of feel like I have to take it one day at a time. I'm plodding a little bit. I am still struggling a little bit. I haven't been writing, which is partly a plan because of the place I'm in with the editing, but I feel like I do need to get back into that, and I haven't. And there are some other things that I've told people I would do, which I haven't done. That's totally fine, but I'm feeling like I kind of need to just be really careful of myself at the moment. I feel like I'm on tenuous hooks, if that makes sense. Like I'm okay right now, but I just am concerned. I'm going to deep dive. And, I know that I have support to help me with that, and, I have a new favourite comfort show to help me with that, but we're still in the very early stages of the donor program, and it relies on a lot more on other people, which is hard, and I don't even know how that's going to go, whether that's going to be successful, which is hard. I hate the fact that I see other people around me pregnant or with small children, and I feel jealousy and I feel anger at the universe. Not at those people, but just at the universe that I don't have that. But that's how I feel. So if you are pregnant, or you have a small baby, or you're thinking about trying, please understand that if I do distance myself a little bit, it's not you. It really is me, and it's just been really hard. It feels like, I think, again, I put this on Twitter a while ago, it feels like the entire world gets to accidentally get pregnant, and I don't. even though we've been trying for so long and we've been putting so much of ourselves and so much money and time into this, and it hasn't happened. And I just really want to be a mum, and I think I'd be a really good mum. And there are so many children in the world who are neglected or abused, and it just seems unfair that people who do that have kids and I don't, to be honest. It's just really, there's nothing I can do that I'm not doing, and it isn't working. And I don't know what I'm going to do if it never does. And I don't know if I don't know how I'll cope. I hate the fact that I feel jealous and upset when I see people who have those things. I just want to be happy for people. I just want this thing. And I know that people want stuff and they don't get it, and that, what do you do? We all have to move on and whatever, but there's something about the trying and the failing. I know there are many people that feel that they know what that feels like, and they do to a certain extent, even people that have tried for 2 months and then been successful, but there's something about trying and failing multiple times, and then getting medical intervention multiple times, and then still failing. It just makes me feel like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why can't I? Why aren't I allowed this? Anyway, I don't really have much else to say. Thank you for your support. If you have stuck around this long, thank you for doing that. I hope this has been enlightening, helpful. I don't even know what this would be, but I hope it's been something. Thank you so much for listening and for watching and for caring. Of course, I would love it if you would subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up because it helps out the channel. Comment. Please do be kind in the comments. Please be thoughtful. Please don't offer advice. I know that's going to be hard because people want to offer advice, but honestly, at this stage, advice is often the opposite of how it's intended. It's often very unhelpful, particularly if the advice is something along the lines of, don't stress about it. Just keep trying, because I am still trying. And have you ever tried not stressing when you're stressful? Like, just relax when you're the opposite. It really doesn't work. So if your advice is that, or if the only thing you want to say is that, as much as I know it would be intended to be kind, please don't write it, because it doesn't help, and it just makes me feel bad. So please be thoughtful in what you say. But I do appreciate comments. All my details are in the description, so you can always go and follow me on other platforms, and obviously, like I said, here as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you got this far, leave me a sad face emoji, because we're sad. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Like I said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.